that's true. My first data journalism investigation was about the female magazines, and I just found out that 80% of these magazines were composed of advertisements and etc. So that was very useful for me. Today I will talk about how data helps to raise important issues in the news agenda. First, I'm a journalist, and for me personally, data helps to redefine journalism at my work. So I work for School of Data. This is an organization this is a community of people which collects data enthusiasts. There are 60 members of us. We provided 400 hours of training and etc. So this is the news agenda in Kyrgyzstan. Yes, Kyrgyzstan is the only country in Central Asia that had 5 presidents, and we love to talk about our presidents. So as you see, can Kyrgyzstan president take a joke? How many times our former president mentioned God in his speech, and selfies, social media, and etc. So this is the news agenda, and people really talk about these things at Facebook, Twitter, or publicly at their work. And we also have the different agenda, data-driven agenda. And what we have at our data-driven agenda. By the way, do you regularly check your data to find out some news at your communities? Maybe? Somebody? No, because that's what journalists should do. So this is the data-driven news agenda. And it includes the residents of Kyrgyzstan that have no access to water supply, that most of the forests are destroyed in different regions, and in which regions and by how much, and when the destruction was the biggest. And our data-driven news agenda includes pregnant women giving birth in Kyrgyzstan. There are 6 times more likely to die than a pregnant woman in Kazakhstan. And the maternal mortality is the highest in Kyrgyzstan compared to the whole region. So our agenda includes disabled children who cannot have an access to education. And poor people, which are discriminated by the national testing. And this is our data-driven news agenda. And what we find out that just writing data-driven stories are not enough anymore, because people are really distracted. And what is important is to sometimes talk about your stories, to explain people and to explain interested communities how you find the data, how you analyze it, and how we can solve the problem, or how they can solve the problem. Because when you work with data, then it can lead to a solution. So we decided to organize monthly events where we discuss how we did our analysis and our data-driven stories, or some important research papers. And they were quite successful. We also teach local journalists. So we go to the most remote areas in Kyrgyzstan, most mountainous areas, and we teach journalists how to work with their data, how to talk about data in local language, because it's really important. In Kyrgyzstan, we have 2 languages, which is Russian and Kyrgyz language, and we are still defining the meaning of data in Kyrgyz language. So it's important to raise issues in local languages. We also decided to include blended learning. We propose data communication courses for students and for journalists, again, in local languages. So this is how they can access to these educational courses online, because Sometimes, yes, as Osama mentioned, they may have an internet, but they don't know how to use it, how to make use of it. We also try to connect people. As at School of Data, we have developers, designers, researchers, economists, and journalists, and we try to somehow connect these people, and so that they can produce great works, not only journalism works, but some products or some solutions. And our first data journalism hackathon was called Hack Poverty, and we tried in teams to hack this poverty in Kyrgyzstan. This was my favorite photo from our first data journalism hackathon. Yeah, a bunch of people. And concluding my presentation, I just wanted to say, let us be guided by facts, not by irrationality. And stories are about individuals, and data are about generalities. If people are ambiguous, changeable, and ineffable, data are certain, static, and clear. Thank you. Maybe anybody has a question?
Yeah, questions? Here's one.
Thank you. I'm also a School of Data member in Latvia.
Great.
So the question is, haven't you had the case when people are manipulating data? Because data can be twisted and deliver different messages for different audiences.
Yes, we have a lot of cases because it's really easy to manipulate with data using data visualization tools and explaining data. And also, it's very relevant in Kyrgyzstan when some researchers, when journalists ask them to quote an issue and they manipulate the data. But what we do is we are fact-checking. So we check everything they say, we check their facts, and we provide this information to people.
And a follow-up question. One of your examples mentioned like how many times the leader mentioned God, which also qualifies as data journalism, or in a way. So how do you approach journalism in data journalism?
In data journalism, the first thing is that is a journalism. It's just we use different tools to present our work with using some online tools or some coding. So first, it's a journalism. It's just a good quality journalism we try to produce.
Thank you. Other questions? Just now. Yeah, like, which one? What about educators? Data education in school for kids, is it possible and is it needed? So Altynai, we have another question on Slido. But again, like what I would encourage you is for you guys to actually ask questions live, because this way we create actually a conversation and keep this as a summary for what we're building. Sorry.
About education in school, yes, this is a good question, because recently in Kyrgyzstan a project started where they're educating children in schools. So what they are doing is just they are providing courses for school children on how media is working and what is media literacy, what is digital literacy. And we were asked to provide from our side a data literacy courses. So we definitely need this, and as more open data is available, and people just need to know how to work with it.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Thank you. Yeah. Great, thanks. So I realized that there are two things which I haven't done today. And